Look who it is. We're in the same studio. Wait, I thought we were going to go right to it. I want to go right to it. Pierzynski's here.
I don't know what it is either. What are we going right to? Now you have me interested.
It's just a special
AJ
that I just
swimming in the river?
Oh,
no, I did not jump in that river. Trust me. There's a lot of things I would do, and that jumping in that river was not one of them.
In San Antonio?
No.
It's so close, though.
While we're waiting for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't jump in the river.
Do not jump in that river. I am sorry.
But there's AJ, who brought his catcher's mask to San Antonio to cut down the nets and give us a little chomp.
Yep. He could have came with a better picture for me, but that's okay.
Well, that's, post-celebration.
Let me just tell you, I hadn't been in San Antonio. I know Kratz has been there. It was great to host an event other than the Alamo Dome. The Alamo Dome kind of sucks because it's just old and antiquated at this point. But I was in the 20th row, and I was I could barely see the court. I'm like, how? Because it's not high like this. It's very flat and spread out.
Oh, that's
so it's I was like, man, I need binoculars to see the court, and I wasn't that far away.
Why haven't they updated it, and why do they always do it there? Not always,
but
they do it there a lot, right?
But it's great because if you've never been to San Antonio, they have the river walk, and the city is here, and then down here they have the river walk, and it's literally a river that goes to the city, and they have all these boats, but the whole thing is bars and restaurants. So the whole day, well, Sunday and Monday, was just the fans partying on the Riverwalk. Yeah. So it was great. And then after the game on Monday, after Florida won, they took the players and the coaches and took them on boats around the Riverwalk. And so all the fans were there. So that part was awesome.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I mean,
it's a great place to have it. It just wasn't a great venue for it.
Why don't they have a baseball team? MLB.
Well, because they have one in Dallas and Houston.
So too much, Texas?
Well, that's a lot of Texas.
How far is San Antonio from Dallas and Houston? Pretty far, right?
A few hours.
Yeah.
3 hours, I think, from
way down.
Houston. 2 or 3. Because I remember we played there in 2013. Jeez.
Oh, baby.
When I was with the Scott's music kicking and he's back. But when I was with the Rangers, we played exhibition games there in the Alamo Dome. In right field, I think Kratz might have hit a homer there. It was 200 feet. It was they had it at 240, and it was short.
So that's why you hit a homer, Kratz?
No, I hit mine way to right center where it was 300 feet.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. It was so funny. We walked in there, and they're like, now listen, we just want you guys to know the right field's going to be short. And we walked in there, and we're like, this is a joke. Because they were pushing baseball. But the left field was forever. Because left field was me watching the game on Monday.
So lefty pull hitters were this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I don't even know if anybody hit a home. I mean, I'm sure somebody. I don't even remember. We played 2 games there. I was there for one of them. I don't even remember the second game because we left and drove to Houston separately. But the first game was 10 to 9, and I don't remember. I remember dudes hitting homers, but it wasn't oh wow, this is cool. It was more oh, this is kind of dumb.
That's cool. All right, let's bring baseball to San Antonio. Real quick before we start, also.
They have baseball in San Antonio.
MLB.
Oh, well, I don't know if their market's big enough.
I haven't even heard anything about them, so it was kind of a joke. But one more thing before we start. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of the exciting Cleveland Guardians home opener. I just was watching about half the game yesterday. I'm like, whoa. I feel like we've been playing for a while. There's still a team that hadn't had their own home opener, just Cleveland. Way later than most other ball clubs. They just had their home opener yesterday.
They're waiting for the weather to get better. I mean, you know what they were waiting for? They were waiting for the White Sox to be available.
No, they had them. You saw that, right?
And they won.
Walk-off walk for Nolan Jones, new addition, scoring their big offseason
What was
signing.
funny is I was talking to, obviously we'll get into it, Octavio Dotel.
Right.
His sad passing of him. And I think Kratz, you played with him too. But I was talking to some White Sox people, and they're like, yeah, we're in Cleveland. It's 0-0 in the 6th inning. And they're like, there's another good chance that we could get walked off again in Cleveland because we always get walked off at least once a trip here. And it wasn't the way they probably drew it up, but it happened.
Yep, it happened in Detroit for the White Sox too. That bullpen. I mean, they worked hard on that bullpen in the offseason. Just kidding. No offense to the bullpen guys. I'm just saying they did not invest in that part of the team to try and
What part did they invest in? I'm just asking.
Love.
Manager.
Clevenger. They brought Clevenger in on a big league deal. He's their closer. He's the one that walked in the run yesterday.
He struggled yesterday. He did. So It's going to be a long season. All right. Actually, real quick, then I'll show you our promo. Do you still think that the White Sox are going to lose less than 121 games?
Yes.
Okay.
They've already got two. They've already got 2 wins. Remember when they were 1-0?
I don't know if they're going to win. I don't know if they're going to win more or less games than they did last year, but they're not a better team. Would you agree with that?
I don't know if they're a worse team, but they also won't have as bad of luck. They just again, it's been impossible to lose 121 games for 150 years in the sport. So to do it 2 years in a row, I mean, listen, if they lose 120 games this year, asses should be on the hot seat.
Yeah.
On fire on the hot seat. I'm sorry, but if you lose back-to-back 120 plus games, asses should be on the hot seat.
You can't even tank the way you could tank back in the day.
No, they tanked last year, had the worst record, had the 10th pick this year. Like, come on.
That's what I'm saying.
Doing here? And I'm a White Sox fan. I want them to do well, but geez, they just can't lose that many games in a row. It's impossible.
We have to come up with a montage of AJ saying, "I'm a White Sox fan. I want him to do well. I'm a White Sox fan. I want him to do well. I'm a White Sox fan. I want him to do well."
It's true.
I do.
He watches their
watch
games.
every game for some reason still to this day.
I know he does.
I don't know why. And I get so many messages about it all the time.
Of
Always
course.
a message. Always a message.
They want you to do everything. They want AJ to come back, be a player manager, hit leadoff, cleanup, pitch. They want it all. I've seen it. I see it online. They're like, AJ, fix this. He's like, sorry, I'm in San Antonio. It's
going to take me, Buster Posey, Chris Young, Craig Breslow, and whoever else we can come up with to fix that.
One more thing before we dive in to some news. We are doing our second Playback all cast today. It's a cool one. He's been on the show once, but he's really good. Daniel Murphy is going to join us to talk on the national side and just break down the game. So he'll be with us for, I believe, the entire game. 4 o'clock Eastern time. Go to our Playback page. It is free to sign up for an account. Okay, we'll have Alana Rizzo and Clint Pasillas repping the Dodgers territory side. So Dodgers fans, if you're looking for a dub because you've lost 3 in a row, maybe it happens today, 4 o'clock Eastern time with Jake Urban against Landon Knack. But we'll be with you for the whole game. We'll call it. With that whole crew, Britt Giroli will join us as well. We're not going to charge.
Is Kratz doing it?
No, Kratz still wasn't invited. Actually, he was invited, and he rejected us. True story.
I was pseudo-invited. I was asked my availability, and then I told my availability. That's not an invite. An invite is, bro, come on over. We're going to do this. And then I'll be like, sorry, I can't. Then that's a denial. I just said my schedule, and then I was again fired.
Okay, next Monday, 6-something p.m. Eastern, we're doing the Nationals and Pirates because it's the MLB free game of the day on MLB TV. Are you available? I'm asking you right now. I'm sure you have a game.
You're asking me if I'm available, or are you asking me to do the show?
I am inviting you for sure to do the show on Monday, right now.
That sounds like a lot of fun, but I'm going to check my schedule.
Okay.
I'm actually not around Monday. I'm not
exactly. Thank you.
Because I'm going to be at the game. I'm going to be at the Pirates game on Monday night in Pittsburgh.
Why?
Are you really?
Why?
I am. We're going out to Pittsburgh for my son, for something for my son, and then we're golfing out there. We're having like a nice little spring break trip, and we're going to watch a little PNC game.
Nice. Okay. If you want to join us even for a few minutes, you can be our in-game sideline reporter.
You could be on the field. You could be the whoever. Live. Yes. Yeah. Live from the game. You know what? If you
Ken Rosenthal.
Tom Verducci, Ken Rosenthal, whoever it want to be, whatever insider you want to be, you could. You know what you should do? You should figure out a way into Bob Nutting's suite and then do it from in there.
I won't. But maybe near his suite, I'm going to get banger tickets because AJ's paying for them. So it's going to be great.
Wow. It's news to all of us.
Yeah, including me.
Yeah. On a lighter note.
By the way, I don't pay for tickets.
True. That is very true. It's been a minute. Let's hit injuries suck because yesterday was heavy. We'll start with the timetable that we learned after the show for Victor Robles. Small fracture in the left shoulder. Not going to need surgery as of now. Adam Jude covering the team said likely out for at least 12 weeks. Made that sick catch the other day, but it wasn't worth it. I mean, they've got an outfield really set. It wasn't even a catch,
though, wasn't it?
Didn't they rule it
not a catch because it hit the net or something? There was some weird ruling. So he
fought it. He got ruled out of play, So the base runner got one base.
No way.
That's right.
But now he's out for a long time.
He could be out for the year.
Yeah.
What does they call it? A humeral?
Humeral head in his left shoulder was fractured. And it's him, Rosarena, and Julio Rodriguez that they were very excited and set about for their outfield. And he had been much better since he moved over there. I mean, he was on his way to potentially being out of the league with the Nationals. Needed to change the scenery, gets it, plays well last year. Started out looking pretty similar to what he was last year. And now they're going to lose him for a while. And they can't score. They went 1 for 19 with runners in scoring position last night. I was on a delayed flight, and I'm watching. I'm like, oh my gosh. I just keep watching the same Mariners game for years.
I don't know. I was asleep because I was still car sick from the night before.
Fair.
So
you didn't miss much.
No, I woke up till it was 2-1. I saw the Astros won 2-1 in like the 12th inning or whatever it was.
They did.
Because I tried to stay up to watch some of the games, but by like 9 o'clock, night termite. But then I woke up and I watched. I get on my phone and check all the scores and see if anybody did anything cool. And other than injuries, there wasn't a lot of cool things that happened last night.
No,
Tarek Skubal obviously happened.
Yes, Skubal happened. Framber was good. Caratini had the go-ahead knock in the 12th. But yeah, 19 strikeouts from the offense, 1 for 19 with runners in scoring position. So it was tough. But on the Seattle side, Kratz, I mean, to me, this is a team that needs a lot of things to go right for them to get into the playoffs. This hurts. Kirby out for now hurts. They're off to not a great start.
Not a great start. But I'll say against that, kind of like they don't really need a lot to go right because of that starting rotation can carry them. There's no reason you should be in a game when you're 1 for 19 with runners in scoring position. And yet they were still in a game. Like they've been in a lot of games. This pitching staff, not just starting rotation, the bullpen too, is very underrated because it's going up against their starting rotation. It's just this offense. And I don't know that it's necessarily the guys that they have there. It's the guys that they have there in the positions that they're in. You can't expect certain guys to carry the team because they're not that, like they have some legit pieces that need another legit piece around them. And I'll be honest, watching Robles' catch, I feel like 12 weeks is like it could have been, I feel like it could have been worse. I get it, 12 weeks is 3 months, but it looked terrible. The way his shoulder bent or didn't bend, whatever, when he went into the net, it looked terrible. Amazing catch.
That's a minimum.
By the way, they're 4-8. I know it's early.
So it's bad.
It's not good. They're 4-8. They started with West Sacramento, even though we're not allowed to call them Oakland anything or West Sacramento, and they're 2-2, and then so they're 2-6 since playing West Sacramento. And it's not good. I mean, their offense is still bad. It's all the things we talked about in the offseason. Their offense is still bad, and every Mariner fan you talk to says the same thing.
It looks the same.
It looks the same. Like, where's the offense? How are we going to score? Our pitching staff. It's the same stuff we talk about here all the time. It just looks the same. And I know, listen, you can say you're tied, your hands are tied, but, you know, where's the development of hitters? And you can only use Safeco, T-Mobile Park for an excuse. At some point, it's like Colorado. You got to figure something out. But whatever it is, they figured out the pitching side of it. Now, how do we figure out the hitting side? Do we need to be more athletic, be bunt and steal and run and just be super uber athletic like the Royals were back when Kratz won with them? Right? Like, is that what the plan is in T-Mobile? And yes, you have Julio who can hit you some homers, but I remember the team in 2001 that won 116 games. I mean, they had Mike Cameron, who was super athletic, Ichiro, super athletic, could steal bases, but then they had like a lot of contact guys, Olerud, you know, Brett Boone, those guys, Edgar, all those guys were, you know, all together. So it was like, wow, this is a complete team. Like, you can't just go and say, all right, we're just going to hit for homers. If your home park doesn't help you hit homers, that's not the way to go.
It's speed and hit tool.
That's what I would go with if I played
That's what
there.
KC has, right? Besides Witt and
but they have some dudes still that have power.
Sure.
You got to mix in some power guys.
Yeah.
But you can't go into a season and say, we're going to hit 250 homers this year, because you know it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, Robles was one of those guys. Athletic. I mean, looked like a different hitter since he went over there. Obviously, speed, contact, all of that, right? A little bit of pop that was emerging. Anyway, let's subside because we're going to bring in our first guest. We'll get to more injuries later. So exciting to cover injuries. Obviously, they suck. That's the name of the segment. Be right back. FT fam, let's hit Hungryroot. AJ is never home lately, but wouldn't it be nice if you get home?
I have it.
I know. If you get home and it's you have it?
Oh, it came on Sunday night when I was in San Antonio. Boom. My son put the box away for me.
Give me one thing in there that you're excited about. It could be an item. It could be something to cook up. It could be one of those meals that you put in.
Well, for me, it was they make like a oatmeal for breakfast that I can just eat real quick, because usually breakfast for me is the hardest meal to grab because I'm making my kid breakfast or running around trying to get ready for the day. So they make like a overnight oats that's in there. I saw.
I know it.
And you know what the Hungryroot besides the meals does great? The snacks they put in there, right? They put in like things of cheese or the meat and cheese little packets and all that. Like that stuff is where it hits for real. I
agree, and it's often new brands that I haven't heard of, right? And they're usually like better quality ingredients, healthier. So they're just more modern brands. So encourage everyone to check it out. Obviously, use the code if you're new to the party. There it is. Get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Visit hungryroot.com/FT and use code FT. Take advantage of the exclusive FT offer. Again, for a limited time, 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. hungryroot.com/FT, code FT. I'll get to maybe at least one other injury report here real quick. Zach Eflin, they came out low-grade lat strain. We covered it a little bit yesterday that he left with discomfort. He's going to be shut down for a week. That's bad actually
news. It's still bad news for the Orioles.
On the timetable, though, that's good.
Yeah, but
and a lat's better than some of these shoulders.
Jake Peavy blew his lat off his shoulder and was out for months.
Yeah. Man, I'm battling with O's fans on a daily basis right now about the rotation. I'm just battling.
If they don't have Grayson and Eflin.
Careful, right?
It's in that division. They're 5-7, and the Yankees and Red Sox ain't going anywhere.
You weren't here yesterday, but somebody had them number 3 overall on their power rankings.
You know who didn't do power rankings yesterday?
I know, but what do you think about that? I think
he might have been carsick.
Yeah.
Number 3 in like all of baseball, or just in the American League East?
All of baseball.
All of baseball.
Who was 1 and 2? Dodgers and Phillies? What about the Nats? What about the Nats?
The Nats?
They beat the Dodgers 2 in a row.
Well, that's not how that.
Next week, power rankings, Nats number 1. Book it.
We're going to talk Nats later. Hey, this show does this, and we have never really seen it in baseball.
The doctor's office?
Adam Ottavino joining us right now. What? No.
What do we, sore throat? What do we got here? Elbow? Shoulder? Knees?
No, nothing. I'm just using this room. That's all.
There's just a room? There's just a room with like body parts and muscles and everything? I feel like I need like to be iced down after you're sitting in this room.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but I'm at Cressy's place down here in Florida, and I needed a room to do this in, so they stuck me in this room. I don't know.
I think it's fine. I think it's interesting. Anyway, Adam, thank you for joining us. So on this show, we've had players on, after they've been, say, designated for assignment, which I know you just went through, and really appreciate it. And there are a lot of players that will send us notes, right? As pros, even minor league players, like, hey, it really helps to hear from Kevin Pillar last year when he went through that. So Rowdy soon after that happened to him last year. So I'll let you take the floor first. Can you take us through what the last few weeks have been like for you in baseball?
Yeah, sure. Good to see you guys. Yeah, I was in camp with the Red Sox. I signed a deal as an NRI over there and didn't make the team. So thought about it for a couple minutes and decided to opt out. I had to opt out of my contract, so I had to opt out, become a free agent. Didn't want to go to the minor leagues. Didn't want to stick in they wanted me to stick in Fort Myers for 7 to 10 days and kind of evaluate me at that point. But I wanted to, I don't know, I didn't want to do that. So became a free agent, came down here drove over here at the time from Fort Myers to Palm Beach area so I could keep throwing, stay active in case somebody was going to grab me in the first week of the season. That ended up happening. Ended up going up with the Yankees when Devin Williams went on paternity list. I was there for 3 days, so I kind of knew what it was. I got DFA'd after that. Stayed on ice for 3 days, waiting to see what would happen with waivers. Didn't get claimed. Went back to free agency. Tried to come up with a game plan, and then before I could even come up with a game plan, they called me for 1 day yesterday. So I flew to Detroit, pitched yesterday, got DFA'd right after the game, flew home, decided to come back down here, and so now I'm down here again, and that's about it.
Every time you sign, just so people know, like you're signing a 45-day consent, which is something that fans don't really know about. Like teams make players sign 45-day consent where you're going to be in the big leagues, but your money's not guaranteed. So you're essentially on a day rate. And did they make you sign that both times? Or is there like a limitation to how many times you can sign that?
I don't think there is a limit, but I did sign it both times. Obviously, that's the best situation for them. They're not committed to anything, and it gets me back in the door. Obviously, I didn't get claimed on waivers, which would have been a little bit of a different situation because then that team would have been responsible for guaranteed money for the rest of the year. So maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But yeah, 45-day consent. So you kind of know going in that it's going to be a long shot to stick around.
Adam, first of all, I mean, so much props for you for coming on today because this is things that fans don't hear about. They see Juan Soto signing for $765 million, but they don't hear about when guys are going through what you're going through. So I'm just saying, super props for you for coming on. We really appreciate it because I want people to know what this life is really like, not just like the things you see that are all everything is great. What I want to know is when you left the Red Sox and you went back to the Yankees and you kind of knew it was going to be a short, but they called you in, didn't they? DFA you, then call you back and then release you? Like, explain to fans what happened and how that kind of worked.
Yeah, well, Devin Williams was on paternity list. That only lasts 3 days. So I knew he was coming back. So the clock was ticking. Obviously, something could happen there. Somebody could get hurt or underperform, and they could change their mind and keep you around. But at the same time, I kind of knew that, it was going to be a short stay more than likely. They were upfront with that. They were great to me. I have a good relationship with those people over there. A lot of love for them. And so I talked to Booney when they DFA'd me, and he told me to keep going. I was kind of on the fence at that moment, but, it was great. I knew what it was. I tried to enjoy the 3 days I was there. I pitched in 2 of the games. It was great. I never saw myself back in pinstripes again, to be honest. And it felt great. It was something that was, pretty special. And then I ended up getting another day yesterday in Detroit, kind of out of nowhere. So, every day in the big leagues is precious. I've had a lot of them, but I don't take them for granted. And yeah, it's a weird situation, but I think I handled it as good as you can. Went in there and did what I could.
For those 3 days, were you like partying? Were you like, man, this could be it? Like, I know I got 3 days. Devin Williams comes back. Like, were you living it up for those 3 days and then the 1 day in Detroit? I mean, are you living it up thinking like, man, this could be it? And not it for your career, but it with the Yankees. So are you like, man, I'm gonna do the best and have the most fun and hit all the spots in New York and Detroit?
Well, I mean, I don't do too much away from the field anyway. And, I live in New York. So really, I just drove to the stadium from my house. So it was great. My family got to come watch me pitch. Who knows if it's the last time, but they got to watch me pitch. Like I said, I don't take it for granted. I made sure I took it in. Had a good time, trying to have as much fun as I can, even though it's one of those it's one of those things where while you're doing what you're doing out there, it's not necessarily fun because you're kind of too busy to have fun. But I try to have as much fun as I could every minute I was at the field because, tomorrow's never guaranteed and you just never know what's going to happen.
Did you ever look at guys that were in your situation now when you were on your big long-term extension contracts or like when you were an all-star early in your career? Like, did you ever look at the guys that are doing what you're doing and go, I kind of forgot that guy was on the team? Because if you don't go back with the Yankees, some guys that didn't play with you before be like, oh, I forgot Otto was on the team back in April with us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I was thinking about it last year. We were doing the playoff shares for the Mets, and some names came up, and people were like, who's that guy? And I was like, he was there for a few days, maybe didn't get in the game. But, I mean, it's such a long season. It's one or a few days is just really a needle in the haystack in the scheme of things. So, yeah, I've been through it on that side of it where you're kind of like, oh, we're going to see this guy as kind of a ship passing in the night. And now I've been on the side of it being the ship. So, I don't know. Interesting, good experience, something different to go through for sure.
How do you feel? How do you feel right now? And is Cressy going to get your mind and your body right while you're down there?
Well, I feel good, and I think that's why I'm still going. I mean, people asked me last offseason what I was going to do. The reality is I'm not hurt. I haven't been hurt in a while. I feel good. I thought by the time I would get to 39 years old, I'd be kind of limping to the finish line, but I feel good. It's that part of it's taken care of. The other part is just get an opportunity to get a little runway and get rolling. But if I didn't feel good, I wouldn't be still doing this. So lucky that the health part is all squared away.
What kind of calls did you get this offseason? Like you're a big leaguer. You're a big leaguer that can help a bullpen. Oh wait, you're on a playoff team that you were a piece in that playoff bullpen. Like, what kind of calls did you get? Like, hey, how's everything going? You still got your glove? Like, was there any interest at all?
Oh yeah, I mean, I probably talked to more teams this offseason than I had in the other years where I was maybe more desirable for contracts. Just the nature of the way the free agent cycle goes these days, things got really pushed back to a really late date. So I never got any offers until really late, like into spring training time. But I had been talked to via the interest, for months there. And, I got one big league offer. It wasn't what I wanted to take at the time. Ended up kind of taking the leap of faith with Boston. Felt like I maybe had a little bit of an inside edge to make that club. Ended up being more of an uphill battle than I realized. And, I didn't perform probably the way they were looking for me to perform early to, even to the middle of spring training there. So, I talked with a lot of teams. Like I said, once I decided that I was open to an NRI offer in the offseason, I did talk to like 15 teams at that time. So there was plenty of like, quote unquote interest, but nothing to the level of, giving you a bunch of major league offers. I only had one major league offer. So it was kind of unique in that way.
Adam, two things. First of all, we always talk about spring training and say that spring training can be overrated a lot of times as far as like teams go into it and say, we already kind of know who our roster is going to be. Do you think if you would have, of course the answer to this will be yes, but do you think, you said you thought you went in there with a competitive edge. Well, do you think that you not pitching well had more of an effect, or they already, because what if you would have gone in there and obviously if you would have gone in there and thrown 5 shutout innings or whatever, they would be like, well, we got to keep this guy. Or do you think that it was kind of preset? Because a lot of times, I mean, with veterans, it doesn't matter how you pitch. It's more of like how it comes out of your hand, how he's feeling, and then we go from there. So do you think that your effectiveness or non-effectiveness had a bigger deal than you thought going into it?
I think there's a combination of factors. I think for one thing, the guys that they had in-house threw the ball really well, showed a lot of what they were looking for out of those guys. And, they were making the decisions tough. Red Sox do have a lot of quality arms at the moment. So, I'm a firm believer that, guys should go with the guys that they believe are going to help their team the most at the moment. For me, I was in a weird position, in that, I've been very lucky in my career. I haven't had to make a team in over a dozen years. I've been able to kind of build up at my own pace, punt spring training results out the window, and just get ready for opening day. This was a little bit of a different situation where I knew I was going to have to show them a little something. And to be fair, I didn't show them much until the last week. It does take me a little while to get going. I definitely rely on the competitive, nature of real games to kind of pull the velocity out of me and some of the things they're looking for. And I didn't have a relationship with everyone over there, just the manager and bench coach and Varitek. I didn't know Breslow at all. So to be fair, he's getting his eyes on me for the first time. And, like I said, I was less than impressive early. So I do think if they were on the fence about it, that probably pushed them, away from me. But that being said, nothing was ever promised. I just felt like I was maybe going to be given a little more grace to get myself where I needed to be. And, and they were going to understand my long-term value. But at the end of the day, if they felt like going with other guys, like that's certainly their prerogative. And I hold no ill will towards that decision.
Yeah, that's a great answer. All right, last thing for me. Now that you're a free agent again, are teams calling you? Because I was DFA'd in the middle of the season. You have to wait your 7 days, 10 days, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden a team will call you and say, "Hey, we want you to come here," and you're like, "Oh, well, you went to Cressy. I went on a road trip with my family to Cooperstown, and I was drinking beer, taking soft toss before I went back to the Cardinals." So, I know you're keeping in shape and ready to go, but are teams reaching out? Because I remember, as your agent calling teams, I forget how it works, but you would think teams are interested. They might not want to get you off waivers, but as soon as you're a free agent, maybe come to you and say, "Hey, Adam, we want you to be our 7th inning guy, 8th inning guy."
Well, I don't think they're allowed to talk to me yet because I'm still going through the waivers process until Thursday. Once I clear waivers, if that's the case, then my agent will be reaching out to everyone. But it's a unique situation. Like, I'm not going to sign a minor league deal. So you're going to bring me to the big league team, whether it's on a 45-day consent or whatever, or you're not. And so, this is a ticking situation for me. I don't need to play. I certainly want to play. I think I'm capable of playing and doing a great job, but I'm not going to, wait around forever. And that's just the reality of it. It's hard, as great as it is down here, to be able to throw to hitters and stay sharp and as best as you can and stay active. There's an expiration on that, and we all know that. So, just keeping my options open. I was taught to always run through the finish line with things, and I'm just trying my best to do that.
I saw the thing on Twitter that June Lee put up. You faced the reporter, June Lee. Does he have a shot of getting an NRI next year for any big league camps? And how cool of an opportunity was that, not just for him, but for you to kind of show some reporters, hey, you know what, hot takes about Ottavino's bad outings might need to just be tempered a little bit.
June's my guy, great guy. I've been friends for a while now, and it was a fun day. We had a little fun with it. I don't think he'll be getting an NRI anytime soon. Listen, we were just trying to explore a topic. He's on a crusade to, cover sports a little bit differently, and I have no problem helping him with that. I'm not one to bash reporters doing their job, but it is fun to kind of, show the balance of things. Like, yes, you're great at what you do, but I'm, still a ball player, and it's not that easy to hit me, for sure.
We've been taught. Yeah, I know. I struck out against you, so it sucks facing you. But when you get like a new bat or something from a teammate and you don't get a hit with it, you're like, oh, it was the bat's fault. So I got to say on here that you ruined my career ERA, because when we were in Toronto, well, it was a COVID season, so we were in Buffalo. I didn't have a glove because the dugout was way out in right field, and they were having me come in the game, and I used your broke high ERA glove, and I gave up a dinger, and so I blame my career ERA on you.
That's fair. Listen, I gave up 7 runs without getting an out in Buffalo in 2020, so I had bad juju all around. For you to use my glove there, that I don't know what we were thinking there. We should have sent you maybe somebody else's. I don't know, Kenley, somebody.
Somebody's. I get it. I appreciate you letting me borrow it.
Absolutely.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for doing this. Obviously, it means a lot. If you connect with one player out there who's trying to obviously make it through his journey, it really hits. So appreciate it, man. Obviously, keep us posted. We're rooting for you to latch back on soon, okay?
All right, yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Adam Ottavino joining us on FT, and we'll be right back. When you need new clubs, who are you going to call?
PXG, baby.
PXG, baby. All right, so take us through your journey the other day. I know you gave us a little summary of how it went, and you were talking trash with whatever the guy's name was, sinking putts at
Bob,
the PXG fitting.
Bob. You know who's just mad? The most mad is Erik. Erik is just mad. He's just jealous that he was not able, because they don't have a PXG fitting site anywhere.
I'll take you, Kratz.
Within 100 miles of them. So
25,
they
25
don't
minutes
have a
away.
grocery store within 100 miles.
That's a great
Actually,
point,
yeah,
also.
he's 20 minutes away. Go,
PXG
Kratz.
has a ton of fitting places. PXG has a ton of fitting places.
They do.
And I live near actual real cities. You know, the city of Philadelphia that was, you know, the capital of the United States until they gave it to Washington, D.C. But that's all there is. But King of Prussia is only like 22 minutes from my house. The PXG place, it's awesome. You can go in, fit your clubs, even putters that make you hit putts.
Oh, yeah. No, listen, it was great. Great experience. Bob hooked me up. Putters, irons, hit some shots. Look at that, drilling that
Dinger.
putt. Yep, bang. Look at him. Trying to figure it out, changing the weights for me. It was just an awesome experience. They do everything for you. They make sure you feel comfortable. He's showing me the thing. Look at that ball flight. Perfect. Thank you, Jake, for making that look so good.
That would have
All
left the yard
shafts.
in San Antonio.
Oh, way out. Center. Dead center. That's all the shafts they have. They mix it up. They gave me different putters to try out. Just different grips, everything. And they just fit you to how you want to feel to make sure you feel comfortable. More importantly, when you look down at the clubs, they fit you perfectly and they have good eyesight. So, again, PXG was awesome. Schedule your fitting. They are great.
Yeah, you can save up to 20% on your entire order. pxg.com/foul. Save up to 20% on your entire order. Restrictions apply. See site for details. All right, we're back. So here's the game plan. We'll cover more of those injuries, but we're not just going to do that the whole show. Charge the mound coming up next. We'll give props to maybe a legend out of the bullpen. We'll see if you're allowed to call him legend status. You are?
You are at this point.
Okay, cool.
You are at this point because of the numbers.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's my whole thing with numbers is in baseball, it's a numbers game, right? Well, if you constantly are adding numbers and you hit a save number, like 450, how many guys have 450 saves?
Exactly. So we'll do that in 10 seconds. 4, I believe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, Hoffy, Mariano. Yeah.
Let's charge the damn mound. Congratulations to Kenley Jansen, who becomes only the 4th reliever in history to accomplish 450 career saves. Wow. And we were talking about this during the break, but for the TV crowd too. I asked AJ if we can call him a legend. By the way, Alden Gonzalez helping to fill in the blanks. He worked out of a 2-on, none-out jam to preserve a 1-run lead against the Rays for the 7-3 Angels, who made a great move to pick up a guy like this. But anyway, legend status because of what he's accomplished.
He should go in the Hall of Fame. Only 3 guys have more saves. Lee Smith has 478. He's in. Obviously, Mariano and Trevor have over
He's going to catch Lee Smith.
Yeah, he should catch him probably this year. Kimbrel's right there with 440. The question is like, there's some Billy Wagner's in with 422. Eckersley is 390. He also was a starting pitcher. But one of my questions is why is John Franco not in the Hall of Fame? I mean, he has more saves than Wagner and Eckersley does, and K-Rod, Francisco Rodriguez, whatever you think of him. I mean, he's 6th all time on the list at 437. It's really hard for relievers to get into the Hall of Fame, but you started getting close to 500 saves, you should be in. I'm sorry.
Well, Franco ended his career before Mo, right? Well before Mo, and
I mean, he's 424 saves still. He's 7th all time, 2.89 ERA. Trevor Hoffman has 601, 2.87 ERA. So, I mean, Lee Smith is in with 478 and over a 3 ERA.
Did any reliever who pitched into the 2000s make it into the Hall of Fame before Mo?
Lee Smith, no, I don't think so. Lee Smith was the closest, I guess.
I almost felt like people were waiting for
Hoffy.
Mo. And then, Hoffman was after Mo, right? Or was he before? I think he was after Mo.
They were pretty similar.
Yeah, I think it was a year or two after Mo. So I feel like once Mo got in,
Hoffman was a year before Mo. Mo was 19. Hoffman was 18.
Got it. Okay. So maybe I'm way off with all of this stuff. But anyway, I'm with you. Kenley should be in the Hall of Fame. And some people are going to dispute that because they pick on relievers.
Mo has a 2.2 ERA. Kenley has a career 2.56. I mean, granted, he has about 400 less innings, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy that he has about 400 less innings. But I don't know. It's amazing. Kenley has 876 career games, 873 career innings. It's insane.
It's a different game with.
I know, and 450 saves. So he's over half the games he's pitched in, he's gotten a save in.
So, how many innings for Kenley?
873.1.
Billy Wagner 903.
Yeah.
So he's just about at Billy Wagner status with his
in.
innings, and Billy's in. So this should actually
be an easy one. Listen, I'm a big Hall guy if the numbers warranted and you didn't cheat. So, for me, let me clarify that. Cheat after it was illegal to do it. Illegal in baseball. Not illegal in the world, but illegal in baseball. I'm a big Hall guy as far as that goes. And numbers add up, and once they start adding up to a certain point, you should get in. There's certain things, certain positions are underrated. Reliever, third base, catcher to me are underrated in the Hall of Fame.
I would agree. But my thing is, did the guy dominate for 8 to 10 years at his position in the big leagues? No matter the state of the game, strikeouts are up, strikeouts are down, live ball, dead ball, all that stuff. Did he dominate compared to the other guys? And you'd have a hard time making me believe that for a 10-year stretch, Kenley Jansen wasn't one of the top 2 closers in the game.
Agreed. And I faced him. That dude still is nasty.
You might get called out for the Franco one, though. I mean, Franco pitched more innings than all of those guys.
Why am I going to get called out?
Not Mo. I mean, maybe people don't feel like he was as dominant.
Look at his ERA. Look at his ERA.
ERA plus 138.
Yeah, okay.
Kenley 156. Wagner was crazy, I remember, 187.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, 131. What'd you say, 138?
138
That's
for
38% better than the average guy.
Yeah.
With 400-plus saves.
1,245 innings.
Okay. Yeah. He was a multi-inning closer guy.
Right. Kratz, should he get considered?
Why not? Why shouldn't he? But again, I'd have to have played through that era to be able to say. I can't say, hey, guys were like, oh yeah, I'd love to face John Franco. Well, I'm obviously not. I mean, he was dominant. He was killing everybody, and to have that many more innings, I don't know. Sure, put him in.
Congrats to Kenley. I think he's still got a ways to go too.
He does.
I mean, he looks like he can still pitch for several more years. Right? It's not like you're watching him being like, this is it. Everything's shaky. He's at the end. I mean, I get it. Last night was shaky, but he's been doing that for years.
A lot
of the great closers.
There's been a lot of shakiness.
Yeah, a lot of the great closers.
Craig Kimbrell's got 400 and something saves, and there's a lot of people say he was super shaky a lot of times, but he was also dominant at times.
Right. Mo was different because I do feel like, at least for my
memory,
memory,
it looked so easy.
It was just so many 1, 2, 3s.
It's awful.
Yeah.
He was awful to face. I love you, Mo, but you were awful to face.
But he didn't walk guys.
No, he didn't walk guys, but he broke my bat every damn time. I'm talking about.
You knew it was coming.
Oh, I went up there with Griffey's bat. He was so mad at me. So mad at me. Because we were down 3, and they're like, oh, go, you're 2 outs, nobody on. I'm like, I went to the bat rack, and I'm like, and I go, I'm going to use, and I look at Griffey, and I go, I'm going to use your bat. He's like, you better not, you're going to break it. I'm like, yep, that's why I'm using your bat.
That's why.
And I went like full Ken Griffey Jr. in the bat, and I took a full swing, and the ball literally went about this far fair. It hit the plate and rolled 2 inches fair, and I think Posada tagged me, and I was like, I didn't break your bat, Griff.
That's good. That's the problem, though, is we have to stop doing comps to Mo.
No.
Pulled him at the gold standard, but there has to be other tiers here. So I'm with you. He should be a lock, but great job there. And also in that game, we did have a home run robbery in the stands. It's okay. They ended up fixing it and calling it a homer. Christopher Morel, super athlete, goes up, but he's not going to be as tall as somebody standing many feet above him who goes to ballparks and finds baseballs.
Let's not even talk about that guy.
Okay. People are just very angry always about Zach Hampel, the
you said his
baseball
name.
stealer. I don't care. I mean, I don't know the guy. Most people go nuts
Always.
with how he operates. I don't know. I guess I'm with you. I'm just like, if he ever stands in front of someone and hurts them or takes a baseball away from a kid, which I guess he has done, that's the part that's like, come on, stop it.
Does Morel catch
that? He does
that?
give the baseballs out, doesn't he? Or he's not keeping them all.
I try not to pay attention to what he does.
I don't care about what he does, Kratz, with catching the baseballs that clear easily. Obviously, in this case, I mean, he interfered.
It looked like Morel was going to catch it. I don't know, Kratz. It looked like his glove was right under Hampel's glove, so I know he was over the fence, but
they called interference.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they gave him the homer, right?
They gave him the homer, but just because you're over the fence,
Morel probably would have caught it.
Right. So you robbed also a cool catch. Yeah.
And a great catch. By the way, speaking of, Christopher Morel had a day yesterday.
Well, he had a day.
You got all the good and all the bad, all in that one game.
What happened?
Well, he pimped a single. I mean, he pimped a single.
He got a double out of it, but he made it to third on the overthrow then too. But he pimped the piss out of it.
It was a single until the goof-ups. I mean, he pimped it. And it wasn't even close. Like, he bat flipped, gave the, let's go, and it was like, ba-dink. You're like, oh. Then he had that happen, and then he got ejected. I mean, smashed his bat. It was an interesting day in the world of Christopher Morel yesterday.
It was definitely full emotion. But isn't that what we want? Don't we want full emotion? You saw that in Chicago. I mean, he was drawing the ire of some of his opponents, being like celebrating a home run when they're down by 6 or 8 runs. Like, the dude just plays with emotion. Kind of got the better of him last night, but I think it was Rob Drake was behind the plate and made a call that he didn't like, and it's strike 3, swung and missed. I mean, he shattered his bat and clearly said something, because you don't get thrown out for shattering your bat and on strike 3 that you swung and missed at without saying something.
Of course.
No, you get a $25 equipment violation. That used to be my favorite.
And they do this.
You break your bat or you throw your helmet, and they're like, that's an equipment violation. You're like,
yep.
$25? Okay. Are you kidding me?
They do this.
$25 was that low.
It was $50.
The umpire.
So stupid. Equipment violation. I'm like,
yep. It's such a low. It's such a low. It's either $25 or $50. Seriously. But the umpire will do it. And nobody slams their bat and helmet when they're like kind of mad. Like, they're mad at what happened. And like, to see the umpire go, because they have to point it out. They point it out, and sometimes they say equipment violation. I've seen guys get 2 in one play, and it made me mad. Like, it wasn't even me that made the out. Like they point at the bat, and then the helmet goes flying across to the dugout too, and they're like, as it's going across. It's just it's not a good situation. Just write them up. You don't need to make like a physical point. Just write them up, send the bill. It goes to charity. But man, that was not an equipment violation last night.
I used to laugh, and then the guy would come up the next event. I'm like, you sure you can afford that $25 for the equipment violation? He was like, he'd get so mad about it.
You need help, buddy?
It was like the dumbest thing.
I didn't know it was that low.
The umpire would go, equipment violation. And I'd start laughing. I'm like, you're done. $25.
I would have thought like 500 or something.
No, it was like $25.
Wow.
So guys would get mad and they throw their helmets last out, and the umpire would go, equipment violation. You're like, what an idiot, $25. Then sometimes you can kind of egg the umpire on. You're like, think you can afford that? The umpire's like, I don't care, but it's just more paperwork. I'm like, then why are you writing it up? Like, it's not your helmet.
Yep.
The labor hours are not even worth it.
No, like that was the best with some umpires. They throw you out or they do the equipment violation. They wouldn't write you up because they didn't want to do the paperwork.
I love that.
And you'd never get a fine. It was great.
On the topic of thinking that you have a home run, I don't want that to get confused with having emotion, having a good time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think those two things can be separated. Like, know that you hit it out of the park before you're celebrating. Still play with emotion. If here's the example I want to use, because we'll touch on this real quick, and then we'll get to the Nats and Dodgers after the break. But let's just sneak in Phillies and Braves quickly here. You had Edmundo Sosa getting his first start ever in the outfield. He's a veteran in the league now. Here he is. Like, I am all about this. I caught this one very soon. I didn't catch this one live. I was on a plane, but I caught it soon after that on socials. And I'm just like, sick. Made a robbing catch in his first start in the first inning of this game, getting Ozuna. And I thought the celebration just was perfect, right? Grabs it. It's like a smooth spike. Not spiking the baseball, but like a...
Yeah.
I want that. So I just don't want to confuse that with, Christopher Morel, here he is pimping singles. Like, no, he just has to know when the ball leaves the yard before he's celebrating.
Agreed.
Okay.
Listen, we've all kind of watched it. Maybe not Kratz, but I've watched balls that hit the wall. And I'm not fast enough, so Jerry Rines would be like, what'd you think? There should have been a double. I'm like, yeah, but I'm slow, Jerry. He's like, well, why'd you stand and watch it? I'm like, because I thought it was a homer. Sorry. But it happens. I get it, but I don't know that I've ever done the full bat flip. Let's go to my teammates and then not have it go out.
You got to know it's gone.
That's usually reserved for when you know it's gone, and two, it's usually for like a walk-off, game's over homer.
Maybe they weren't using the juiced balls that Gary Cohen was talking about the other day. I guess, they weren't using them down in Tampa. Maybe the ball's not traveling as much.
By the way, can we get Gary a managerial job?
We're going to talk about that later.
We should get, GM, manager, commissioner, whatever.
Why are you guys so worried about that?
I'm not. I just said. He's talking about balls, juice. He's talking about where guys are positioned and what he should do if he was the manager. Listen, I think they're great. But
isn't that the job of the broadcast to go over the managerial moves and what's happening in the game?
Yeah, but you're also supposed to explain both sides of it.
Okay.
We'll get to it. But listen, I love Gary, Ron, and Keith. I think they're hilarious.
Yeah.
But there are times where you're just like, okay.
Well, I like the debate when he brings that up and then someone comes back at him and says no, and here's why, which obviously we do on this show. So we'll get to that real quick before we break because we're not going to talk about this game anymore. The Braves did beat Wheeler. Good for them. Sean Murphy's back with glasses on and hit a homer and had a big hit later on in the game. So things are looking up for the Bravos. And they acquired Rafael Montero, who you might laugh about because he signed that 3-year, $35 million with the Astros. He's costing 11.5 this year. Braves need bullpen arms, but I think they're getting him for the league minimum. Mm-hmm. And the Astros trade him over to the Braves. And I was reading this morning some tweets from CJ Nitkowski, who calls games for the Braves, about how Montero's got a new splitter that they really like. So I'm like, okay. It's probably a league minimum guy. Give him a shot. Right?
Real quick, though, are we worried about Chris Sale at all?
A little bit. Like the velo is a little down, right?
A little down.
Yeah, a little bit.
4 2/3, 6, 7, 5 through 3 starts.
Reynaldo had the velo issue like that in spring and at the start of the year, and we won't have time for this either, so I'll do it now. But he had his surgery. He's probably not coming back until September at the earliest. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to compare those two.
I'm not either.
When you do see velo differences, no matter what age it is, right, and it's early in the season, you do have to wonder. Didn't we wonder about this late last year, and then he ended up missing the playoff start?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just something to look at.
Okay. Well, you can see right below me. Yep, it just went away, but it was there. Hammer territory. That's your spot. They go over all of that. Let's come back and talk about the Washington Nationals because they're on a heater right now. Can they sweep the Dodgers? Andrew Golden will join us. All right, here we are. We're back. We'll talk about the Nationals and the Dodgers coming up. We'll get ready for the game, of course, that we're going to call 4 o'clock Eastern. Not us, but FT fam will call. Daniel Murphy, Alana Rizzo, Clint Pasillas, and Britt Giroli will all be on that call, 4 o'clock. Let's cover a couple other injuries. We didn't get to many at the top. These are fresh ones. An oblique issue for Wyatt Langford. So that'll take him out for a minute. Not great.
See? Not great. It feels like there's more injuries this year. Maybe not.
In the past 48 hours is the problem.
Yeah.
Jackson Merrill has the hamstring, just like Ketel Marte from a few days ago. Justin Steele just hit the shelf with left elbow tendonitis. He said his arm is starting to tighten up on him a little bit. They made the decision to go on IL. Yeah, Tatis left yesterday. Cronenworth also exited yesterday. Yesterday was by far the biggest injury hit day, of course, of this season, but that I can remember in a minute. Not like everybody's knocked out for the season, but
what happened to the Crohn zone? I missed that one.
He said he's probably hit a ball, and he was like, he didn't run it out, and he was hunched over. I couldn't tell if he hurt his top hand or if it was shoulder, so his left shoulder or side. But I saw he's could be back Friday, but we'll see.
Yeah, cramping.
Oh, cramping.
Due to a contusion. That's a new one. I never heard of that one.
Mm-mm.
What's that?
Cramping from a contusion.
I mean, if you get hit, you get a bruise, and then it cramps up. No?
I don't know. What's a cramp feel like? Tell me.
What the
Okay.
cramp?
I don't know. I never had one, so I want to know what it feels like. That's why I asked.
You never had a cramp.
Never had a cramp.
Monkeys never cramp, but 2 banana a day. But you've never had a cramp.
Isn't it
I
usually
mean, I've had a
hydration
stitch
thing?
in my side, like when I was running, but I never
Oh.
had like a
No, it's not
where
that.
people are like, oh, like I've been with people at dinner, and all of a sudden you just see them go, ah!
Yeah.
I'm like, what is wrong with you? And they're like, my hamstring. I'm like, what? And they're like, it's cramping. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, maybe you
You've
don't
never
know
had
what
a hamstring cramp.
No. That's why I laugh at people when they have them. I'm cramping. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're cramping.
You don't push it too hard. You live life not.
All right, here we go. Andrew Golden joining us and covering the Nationals for the Washington Post. Back on the show. Great backdrop. Of course, he's at the ballpark. So, Andrew, what do you see in these first few games here for the Nats? They're on a run right now, taking down the defending champs. Do you see this team kind of hitting a turning point this season? Because they're not getting a lot of love in the NL East. But is this a statement series?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a statement series and a good sign. I think when you look at what my takeaway from the first couple of games, that James Wood has been unbelievable. I think he hit 3 homers and 4 at bats in the past couple of games, so he's starting to heat up. I think the key for them is just getting off to a hot start early in games. The first couple series they weren't scoring early in games, but this series they have been, in the Diamondback series before they have been too. So I think it's getting off to a hot start for them at the plate, and that typically helps them perform well later in games. So I've been impressed so far.
Andrew, should I have them number 1 in my power ranking since everybody had the Dodgers and the Nats have beat them 2 in a row? If they sweep them, should I make them number 1 in my power rankings in baseball?
I mean, that's how power rankings work, right? I mean, if they sweep the Dodgers, then yeah, they should be number 1, right? Like that's how it should work.
That's exactly how ludicrous power rankings are. Thank you. So yes, next, whenever I have to do my power rankings, for the Nats will be number 1 for sure.
There we go.
Yeah, but how good was Mackenzie Gore? I mean, he's 2 of his 3 starts, he's been really, really good. Is this the guy they thought they got when they made that trade for Soto?
Yeah, I think Mackenzie's shown that in brief spurts during the early portion of his career. I think the key is just sustaining it, not having the bad outing spiral. I think his first full season was 2023, and he was really good in the first half and struggled in the second. Last year, he was really good last year, except for like 9 starts. And so I think this year, the key is just limiting those bad starts to maybe 2 or 3 outings versus, 6 or 7. So I think if he can do that, I think you're looking at a top of the rotation guy, a guy who can be an ace for this team. And that's what he's shown. I mean, he went out there against the Phillies and shoved. I forget the exact stat, but where he and Bob Gibson were the only guys to strike out 13 and allow 1 hit and no walks. So that's pretty good company. And I think that speaks to the kind of player that he can be.
Andrew, I haven't been to a Nats game for a long time, but when they started hanging up all the Natitude signs, the fans really got behind it. What is the Natitude right now, the fan base of the Nationals? Are they mad that they didn't go in and get some veteran piece that would have been like a Pete Alonso for a long, kind of like the Jason Worth type of thing? Or are fans just like, oh, neat, we're going to wave our hats in the 3rd inning like we do every game?
I think there's a mix of both. I think there are some fans who definitely wanted the Nationals to take suspend a little bit more, right, and get them back to where they were the previous decade. But I think there are also fans who are happy with the direction of the team, what they've seen from the young players. And so I think you get a mix of both. I do think there are some fans who are kind of like, okay, it's been 5 years of this rebuild, we're ready to go. And I think there are some who are like, let's be more patient, wait for the right time. And so I think you see a mix of both from the fan base. I'm not sure if there's one or the other, but that's kind of how fan bases are. Like, there's always going to be a sector that thinks one thing and one thinks the other way. So I think it's a mix of both.
Hey, Andrew, I don't know how you see the games from the press box they have there in Natitude.
Gosh,
God.
It's pretty high up.
Not only
it's pretty high up for
you
sure.
need telescopes. Forget binoculars to see half the players. They look like ants. we built, what did they say? We built a museum for ants.
What is this?
Zoolander?
What is this, a press box for ants?
This is a press box for ants. Like, I mean, it's so small.
Some fan, I think a fan the other day asked me, like what would Mackenzie Gore's slider look like? I was like, I mean, you probably have a better view than I do. I was like, I don't really know what it looks like from here. Like, I was like, it's probably better on the screen. But yeah, it's a pretty high press box. It's pretty up there.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But, kind of to what Kratz said about, the rebuild and where they're at in this. Why didn't the Nats spend some money this offseason? They were like my sleeper pick to go out and sign a big name, like kind of like they did. Why didn't they do that this year?
I think it's a mix of ownership and waiting for the right time waiting for the right time that they feel to invest in their roster. I also think it's a matter of wanting to see how some of their young guys can perform. Seeing if James Wood and Dylan Cruz really take that step forward. Seeing if Mackenzie Gore takes a step forward. CJ Abrams, another guy they want to ask. They want to see a lot of production from, and so I think for them, what you're seeing is like, I think the reason they didn't spend is they're waiting to see how those guys perform. Maybe they didn't think the right guy fit their roster that was out there. I certainly would have expected them to maybe spend a little bit more. They did spend more than they have in the past couple off seasons, but I would expect them to take a swing this off season, and they didn't. I think they're content with what they have, and but I still think that with what they have, I think they still think they can compete long term.
Now the 20-year Masson battle got resolved. Does that mean next year they're going to use that money? Because before that was the excuse, like, we don't have a lot, or is it Max Scherzer's deferred contract that they're still paying? Have they given any reasoning of or a glimpse of what it could be?
Yeah, I think obviously with the Masson money, I think that definitely makes an impact, and they can obviously spend a little bit more. I don't know to what extent that is, and I think it also depends on how this year goes and where they feel like their roster compares. I mean, I think it's also important to note that when they signed Jason Worth, they went 81-81, or they were around 500 like that first season with Jason Worth, and then they took off. And so, like, in theory, like, that's where it seems like they would be right now, which then it would make sense to kind of make that investment and take that risk. And so, I think it's interesting. I would expect them, though, with Masson off the table, like, there are really no excuses. Like, if they want to invest in their roster, they can, and like, that's not an excuse anymore. And so I think it's kind of a fair point to make.
Are we worried about Dylan Cruz? Are the Nats worried about Dylan Cruz? Because I know people probably outside that don't see him every day. Is Dylan Cruz worried about Dylan Cruz? How worried should we be here?
I'm not worried about Dylan Cruz. I think obviously it's not a great start to the season, right? But I think when you look in the grand scheme of things, like if this happened in June, I don't know if we're talking about it in the same way that we are. I think it just happened to happen in the first 4 or 5 games where he didn't have a hit. He seems fine, and the team still thinks that he's fine. I think they're just working with him through some adjustments. But I don't get the sense that Dylan is super concerned about it. I don't get the sense that the team is either. But definitely not an ideal start for your number 2 overall pick from a couple seasons ago, who obviously was a Rookie of the Year candidate from the jump. But I still think he's in that mix, but definitely not an ideal start.
James Wood home run total. Give it to me. You see him every day. We need to know what it's going to be. Because I think last night was his first pulled home run. Am I correct? All the others have been Oppo?
This season, that was his first pull one this season. Last year he had 2.
This season.
Yeah. So this season, I think we did like a season prediction. I think I had 27. So I guess I'll stick with 27.
Okay.
That's
not 30, not 40.
That seems low.
Yeah, I didn't want to put it too high. It's the first full season. Like, there's some adjustments. I want to put it at 40. I think we could hit 40. But I said 27 just to be kind of modest from the jump.
After watching this series, I'm like, damn.
They're number 1 in my power rankings. Put it down.
Stop it. Andrew, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the game today. It'll be fun. 4 o'clock Eastern, so a couple hours away. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Looking forward to next time.
Yes, same here. At Andrew Golden. Very easy to find the name on Twitter to give him a follow and check out his articles in the Washington Post. Be right back to go over the Mets and Marlins questionable moves. All right, here we go. City Connects that weren't leaked, or maybe they were, but these are real City Connects that actually were out there. Inspired by the San Francisco Giants' time in New York, also inspired by the energy and music scene. The new uniform embodies the city's movement, creativity, and rebellious spirit. The purple pays tribute to the New York Giants when the team wore violet as a nod to NYU. Also honors the Fillmore stage lights. I mean, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of longer things. But anyway, thoughts here. They said the Giants' chest script flows like sound and is influenced by the psychedelic posters, which AJ loves, and a lava lamp moving with the energy of the game, the moment, and the music, inspired by warped 60s gig posters. I wasn't born in the 60s, so is this what they did?
I mean, it would have been cool if the letters moved, like a lava lamp. That would have been awesome if they could have figured out how to do something like that.
I want that.
Like everyone was a little bit different. I mean, that would be cool, but I don't know. They're cool. Listen, I'll say this. They're better than the Giants' old ones that were just like, they have the cream. They just were like, we're going to make white ones with orange lettering and put the bridge on it and call it cool. Because it was the clouds over the bridge or whatever they said. This one's better than that, but.
Oh, yeah. I like this one way better. I'm looking now. I was like, I don't even remember that one. Yeah, it was pretty forgettable. Yeah. This one's way better.
This one's way better. Some of these teams have done better with their second ones, and there's a team that, if the leak is real, has done way worse with theirs.
The White Sox?
Oh! Like the White Sox, they're just like, okay, so we know we'd like the Bulls and we're owned by the same people. We're just going to make a Bulls-White Sox jersey and call it City Connect.
You don't like basketball jerseys being worn as
They give away one every year. They give a Blackhawks White Sox jersey. They give away a Bulls White Sox jersey every year. So this year they're like, we're just going to sell them now instead of giving them away.
You wouldn't think it's cool if when you were on the White Sox, you wore a Bulls tribute jersey?
Why?
In a game?
Are the Bulls going to wear a White Sox tribute jersey?
Maybe.
I hope not.
No, come on, dude. No, I hope not either. No.
I mean, Jordan ran the town for a long time
That was a long time ago.
I know.
30 years ago now.
They're tough times. They're trying to bring it back.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, that is the one that if that is the leak, and that's the real jersey, Kratz, that is like the most unimaginative thing I've ever seen in my life. They literally we're just going to take the giveaway jersey and make it a real jersey and sell it. And people will buy it because, let's be honest, the White Sox City Connects were the first ones, and they're still the best ones.
They're really good.
With the South Side, I mean, nothing fit more than the black and the gray. I mean, it was like the perfect jersey, and now they're like, oh, no, we're going to go to the Bulls. It's like, wait, we're just making a Bulls jersey.
So let's cover some games from yesterday, and we can mix in what's going on today too, because the Marlins and Mets are already at it again today, and it is brutal. It is so cold up north right now. It is like the thick of winter in April, and they're playing that game 0-0 in the fourth. Anyway, yesterday, Mets beat the Marlins, and Gary Cohen, the play-by-play guy, who I would say is a legend for Mets fans, they've got a great broadcast booth, he was ripping up Marlins manager Clayton McCullough for the way that he was aligning his defense in a one-run game, bases loaded, Pete Alonso at the plate, 1 out. They bring in the infield, and Alonso gets one through, and they were like, what are we doing? You know, you're trying to go against the grain.
He hit one over the outfielder's head in the gap. Like, there ain't no infield defense stopping that.
Oh, it was a gapper. Okay.
Yeah, he had a friggin' rocket off, like a triple. I mean, not for Pete, but like, that ball was smashed. Like they could have, unless they had the infield and the outfield, they weren't catching that ball.
So do you think that he was too critical of Clayton McCullough's decision? Give me the managerial side of things.
In my opinion, Pete doesn't hit the ball hard on the ground. When he hits it, it goes in the air, right? So you're thinking like, we'll turn 2, but you're also already down a run. So you're trying not to give up any more runs. God forbid he hits a slow roller and you're not able to turn 2. You only get 1. You give up the run. So I see what he was trying to do. Where the center fielder was positioned, now we can talk about that. He was like a deep second base. That's why the ball got all the way to the wall and scored 3 runs. That one you can talk about, but to say you had the infield in, like no one gets on Joe Torre for having the infield in when Luis Gonzalez hit a ball that didn't even get to the outfield and won the World Series against Mo, who doesn't give up hard contact on the ground either, right? So he brought the infield in thinking like if he's going to get jammed, we got to get the play at the plate because we're not going to be able to turn 2. So listen, I never question when you're trying to avoid giving up runs because you always have to try to stop the other team when you're pitching. So to me, I think, listen, he gave his opinion. Good for you, Gary. But, I think you can make an argument that Clayton McCullough in this case with the infield was fine.
I would agree because in the situation, the Marlins are also not scoring a lot of runs. You got to keep the game close midway through the game. Maybe early you'll try to stay back for the double play, but it's also a percentage play. Pete Alonso wants to hit the ball in the air. If he hits it on the ground, he doesn't hit into a lot of double plays. He's not just a truck out there running to first base. He's already this year beaten out 4 infield ground balls that could have been double plays. He's already had fielder's choices on those. So you're going on percentage basis of what he's been doing, and you want him to put the ball on the ground. The infield back there, you could have played the infield halfway in the outfield. It wouldn't have mattered. He smashed the ball. Your pitcher needs to make the pitch, and you got to set your defense, a la Andrew Jones, a la Greg Maddux, all those guys. They set their defense based on where the pitcher's supposed to make the pitch. Pete waffled it. To me, I would have had the infield in there too, especially with the team that you're at. Now, if they're playing the Dodgers or something, now the Dodgers probably don't have the infield in. They're like, hey, you know what? We're going to be back. We're going to make sure we get 1 out. We can come back down 2 runs in the 5th or 6th inning. Marlins don't have that luxury, so he's got to push the limit, and I disagree with Gary. It doesn't make him a bad announcer. I just disagree with him in this situation.
Okay. That's good to know. Because, I mean,
I agree. I think Gary's great. I think their broadcast is great.
Yeah. Oh, and I like when you got a rip fest going. Like, and even if you disagree, then great, because him doing that gets it onto the show, right? If he doesn't go like that, it's not getting talked about. I mean, he was going in. He's like, I mean, he essentially said he supremely disagreed.
If you want to rip a situation, rip the situation that they lined up on a play later. I think it was Soto hit a ball to the wall that the Marlins lined up to go to second base when the play is going to be at home. So the double cut lined up to second base, which I'm not sure why they're double cutting to second base on an automatic double to the wall when they had a runner on first, and then it was a bang play at the plate after the relay. Safe. Now that you can, that's fundamental. It's team fundamentals. You got to be able to make sure you're in the right position. Could have cost him a run. It was bang. I think Lindor scored, or maybe it was Luis Angel. I'm not 100% sure, but they lined up to second and not home.
All right, worth the discussion. Just wanted to get your thoughts on what's going on there. How did you do with cold weather, by the way?
I hated it, but I got through it.
Right.
I made enough. Listen, Nike made enough cold weather gear, and I got through it. There was a company that we used to use in Chicago called Hot Chilies, which is like a skiing company.
Oh yeah, I know them.
We'd wear those underneath. Listen, I always played better. I always felt better when it was warmer, but you just kind of got through the cold weather games, and we're just hoping that, man, it's going to warm up soon. It'll be better. But yeah, there were some times.
We had a cold weather game yesterday, and I had to laugh because when I played, for some reason, sleeves, I tried every kind of sleeve. Tight, just a little shorter, a longer sleeve, thicker. I never liked sleeves on my arms, so I never played with sleeves. But I was never like, man, my arms are cold while I'm catching. You stay warm catching. Yesterday, we had a game here at high school for the high school team in PA. I think it was 42 degrees. It was like 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. It was miserable to coach in. I put a kid in because we were winning 12-0. I put a kid in, and he takes his sweatshirt off. He goes out to third base, and he has this piece of paper sitting on his chest. And I'm like, what on earth does he have? It was one of those stick heating pads that, like, the ones that you have, small ones for your hands. Well, I guess they make them. I didn't know they made them. That he stuck to his jersey and had his sweatshirt on over top of it, and he didn't realize he was coming in the game. So he had this, like, it basically looked like a piece of paper, like this, just like stuck to his jersey while he was playing. So there's different ways to stay warm.
That's not one of them.
Yeah, that's a weird one, but you can try anything these days. I want to get to a couple things from yesterday, actually. So Pirates are playing right now. I think they just got their first knock in the 6th.
7th.
In the 7th it was?
But it didn't count because Fetty started and he made it through 6, and they brought a different pitcher, so it doesn't count.
Right. It wasn't a no-hitter watch with the same pitcher. The combined stuff's not as cool. Anyway, yesterday, Skenes looked human.
Skenes? Not. Yeah, the Cardinals own Skenes.
Cardinals
own them. Cardinals, they said they can't hit. They can hit Skenes. They must like the splinker.
Is there something they're doing? They didn't have any homers.
No, they just put good at bats on him. It's
Yeah.
kind of like I remember back in the day when they said the Cardinals had something on Kershaw, and I played for the Cardinals, and we didn't have anything on Kershaw. They just could hit him. I don't know why. They just knew how to hit him, and kind of the same thing. I don't know. Maybe they get up for the Skenes games, but Skenes don't like it. The Cardinals.
That's okay. Everybody needs one. That way, it makes it look like he's human, and then he'll go out and punch tickets. I think he still had 7 punchies, but they hit some balls hard. They ran the bases. Skenes, like he said, I'm not going to let it bother. I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah, career high 5 earned runs and 6 hits in that one. They had a 3-run inning. He had never given up 3 runs in an inning.
Well, because that's what they did, though. I watched some of that inning. They just put at bats on him. Arenado had just a nasty at bat on him. They just put at bats on him. They put the ball in play. They didn't, 7 strikeouts is good, but not great for Paul Skenes. I mean, are we worried about the Yankees? They can't score either.
Well, they can and they can't. My thing is,
I mean, you get Scooble Flaherty in Detroit when it's a little chilly. That's a tough.
That's the thing. The
That's
weather,
a tough couple days, kids.
and the Tigers are good. I'm telling you, they are damn good. That's a good pitching staff. Did you see Mize the other day?
Mm-hmm. Who did you do that against?
Okay, fair. A little tune-up.
Who?
The White Sox.
Oh, but who you play doesn't matter, right, Scott?
No, it matters. I'll be more impressed if he does it against the Twins than
the Twins, huh?
Well, that's one step
the
up.
3-8 Twins versus the 2-7 White Sox.
We're going to talk about them soon. And then another step up would be Cleveland and KC. Anyway, the Tigers have Flaherty on the mound punching tickets left and right, too, because do not think that Jack Flaherty doesn't have last year on his mind when he's facing the Yankees.
His back seems fine right now.
His back seems very, very fine. Come on. I mean, you guys put me in his situation if you were him. Last year, the Yankees say no, and it gets leaked. He went to the right spot. He's on the right spot now. He's gotten paid. He got his ring. But still, aren't you on a vendetta against the team that said, nah, damaged goods, and it gets public? I mean, that's your business, right? That's your LLC. Like they tarnished his name for a moment in time. They did. And other teams also follow suit with teams that lead the pack in certain categories, right? They shouldn't necessarily. It's not that the Yanks have been evaluating players better on the medical side, but I do believe that there are teams that are like, oh, the Yankees said no. So our doc said it was okay, but we're going to be careful.
That's weak on the other teams. That's weak on the other teams.
Other teams copycat the crap out of certain ball clubs.
I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying that's weak. The Yankees had an evaluation, and if another team's like, I don't know, like the Yankees, they do their due diligence. I know that. I know those guys. I know what they went through for the Juan Soto trade. Like, they have to do their due diligence. They stay up hours pouring through stuff. Didn't come back. It didn't come back well. I don't know. I mean, I think if another team is like, oh, the Yankees said no, we're just gonna stay out. I don't know. I mean, Dodgers did pretty decent last year, and they were like, we're willing to take the chance.
Well, the part last year that I didn't get was it was for a few months. You weren't taking on a contract for years if you were that concerned.
They didn't want to give up anything.
It was half a year. They didn't want to give up any players. By the way, Mize pitching against the Yankees. Just saying. Get it right.
Yeah, it wasn't against. He just pitched just the other day.
But I knew you would say that because I knew that you would say that he thought that he pitched against the White Sox, but he pitched against the Yankees and pitched great.
That's really rude.
Why? Because I knew you would say the White Sox. I knew it, and I was just waiting for it. But then I had to double check.
Torkelson's the real story in Detroit.
True.
Torkelson's the real story.
True.
You guys think he's back?
Hopefully.
I mean, now he is. By the way,
I was confusing my crappy offenses.
No, he didn't. He beat the Yankees on Monday.
No. His first start was against Seattle.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he did beat the Yankees on Monday, but I thought you were talking about the prior. Anyway.
No, you weren't.
Go ahead, Kratz. Mm-hmm. Yes, I was.
No, Torkelson's back right now. Listen, baseball's about opportunity. I said it after opening day. People were like, who cares? 1 game, 1 homer, 4 walks, whatever. It's your opportunity. And he is taking his opportunity and running with it. Is he going to be an all-star? I don't know. But this isn't just some like fly by the seat of his pants guy. This is a 30 home run in the big leagues hitter. So is he back? I don't know. We'll know by halfway through the season. But he's back right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that team's going to be really good. Anyway, let's talk Twins. AL Central. Dan Hayes, excellent beat writer on the Twins from The Athletic, joining us
he's
next.
average. He used to work for the White Sox.
You tell him that. Next. Homage.com/FoulTerritory. If you're a first-time shopper and you want to use the code FoulTerritory, you get yourself a little 20% off. I've got Homage today. This is actually one that I got years ago from them, but I work because I haven't been back in Orlando for a while. So I was just trying to give AJ a little, hey, welcome back
I would normally say that's an awesome
city.
shirt, but Shaquille O'Neal left for LA.
Come on.
Nickel Hardaway left for money. True, it's true.
No.
Yeah, but Shaq changed the complexion of that franchise.
What'd they win?
Who cares? I'm just saying, he made them like a staple in Orlando.
Cool.
You don't think so?
I mean, he was great. Listen, I remember when they won the lottery to get him. It was like a party, party, and then they got Penny Hardaway the next year because they traded Chris Webber.
How many years did those two play together?
Not very many.
3, maybe?
Maybe. They went to the finals.
But
I was at the game when Nick Anderson missed 4 free throws in a row. Not like in a row.
Which is crazy because he was a good
then they
shooter.
lost that game. They got swept. They got their. I was at that game. I was home with Mono. Remember the game when they played Indiana and Rick Smits thought he was going to win and Hulk Hogan came out and like ripped his shirt off in midcourt and they're like, hey, ain't nobody beating Hulkamania. Rick Smits ain't beating Hulkamania.
I don't remember
Reggie
that,
Miller, he ain't
insane.
beating Hulkamania. Come on.
Anyway, I love this stuff. There's MLB Jam
it,
ones too.
If you don't know who Hulkamania is, Google that.
Oh, I know who that is. Homage.com/FoulTerritory. Go check it out. They have MLB Jam
NBA
ones
Jam
too.
was the jam.
It was the jam. But the MLB ones are cool.
Yeah.
There's the White Sox one. I'm trying to remember.
He's on fire.
Yes. That was my favorite game at the arcade.
Remember they had the ice hockey one too where they would do the same. I forget what it was called.
Well, they had NFL Blitz and then they had NHL something. They were all very similar and they were all awesome. Like arcade style. That was my jam. There's the starter jackets for Homage.
You could put the codes in to like jump ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You could get unlimited
You
turbo.
get like special players and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. There it is. While we got a minute, we'll shout out the
jackets
Reds.
are back in. I know there they are, but
they're
cool. So in right now.
They are.
Bomber jackets, starter jackets are so in right now.
Let's talk Reds for 45 seconds. So there have been 6 1-0 games this year. The Reds have been part of 4 of them. They shut out the Giants back-to-back games just now. Lodolo in the bullpen. They've got some arm talent.
Yeah. They can't hit, though.
No.
So far.
But they can pitch. Also, it's early in the season.
It's cold weather.
See what happens.
Cold
weather. There's a lot of low-scoring games happening, especially this week.
You need the starter jacket in San Fran right now. That's for sure.
Corey Seager just showed him out.
There you go. Well, we've got Dan Hayes joining us right now, covering the Twins for The Athletic. Dan, great to have you on. How would you describe the Minnesota Twins through their first couple weeks of the season and the reaction from the fan base?
Yeah, it's been a rough 11 games. And the last 3 days, 4 days, whatever it's been, have had some of those games that have had just very difficult losses. Blowing the 6-run lead on Sunday at home against the Astros. You have a series win lined up in your first home series of the season. To blow that was really rough. And then last night, one of the things that's really bugged them early on this season is they just haven't had stability from their rotation. And this is a very good rotation on paper. Fangraphs had it projected as the 5th best rotation in baseball going in. And until last night, they had a 6.90 ERA for their first 10 games. And they haven't, I think they've had 2 guys go into the 6th inning this season so far. And last night, Pablo Lopez he was matching Cole Reagan's, right and left. He looked amazing, had a lot of swing and miss. And then he gets the hamstring strain, the mild hamstring strain in the 5th inning. And it was just another big blow that this team is facing. No Royce Lewis early on, and to lose the game, they were in it the entire way. The 8th inning, you get to the point where Carlos Correa is coming up with first and third, 1 out. You look like you have a shot at winning. It's 1-1, and he had hit 2 doubles, which he had 1 double coming in all season going into yesterday, and hits into a double play. Griffin Jax comes in, gets a pop out, gets Bobby Witt to hit a 4-hopper to the mound, and airmails it to first, and Witt's on third, and Pasquantino just hits a little nubber up the first base line, and boom, you lose 2-1. So they have been hit in the face by the shovel a few times so far. The snow shovel has been out, and really it's been a tough 11 days. And fans came in angry anyways. Fans have not forgotten last season's collapse. Fans want the team sale to be complete. Attendance was down over that first 3 games severely. So that fan anger was already, or fan morale was already pretty low. And obviously it's not the kind of start they were looking for.
Dan, we can't get you upgraded to a king bed in wherever you are, because, do you have one bed for your luggage and one bed to sleep in? Come on.
I probably took a good deal, but yes, I walked in the other day and was a little surprised myself. So,
you don't go to the front desk and say, "I'm Dan Hayes, I'm part of the Athletic, I can't get a king bed." Maybe an upgrade?
No, I'm going to write about this.
Yeah.
No, nobody wants to hear about beat writers' travel issues, so I keep that stuff. Wait, real quick. You guys
especially Scott Merkins.
There you go. Hey, you guys were talking about NBA Jam there for a minute. I just want to, because Sahadev is part of the network, and I just wanted to bring something back. About 7 years ago, you guys were talking about I have this, I don't know if it'll show up, but.
Yeah, we can see. Higher.
Yeah, higher.
Go up.
There we go.
Hey,
wait.
No, higher.
Right there. There you go.
There you go.
That was Sahadev was the Magic, and I was the Warriors, and that was at a arcade in Phoenix. It was an adult arcade in Phoenix, and 122 to 16. I've never seen a grown man cry in public, but I made Sahadev cry, and I want that to be out on the internet. That was 8 years ago. I still, it's a highlight for me, but.
How bad? First of all, before we're going to get back to the Twins, but how bad were the Magic that they had Nick Anderson and Scott Skiles? Not that Scott Skiles wasn't a great player. He did set the assist record on my birthday one year against the Nuggets. He had 42 assists in a game.
30.
Yeah, it was crazy.
No,
but
he was amazing.
But the fact that it was Nick Anderson and Scott Skiles on NBA Jam versus anybody, it feels like that should be the score almost every time.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking when they picked that team, to be honest. And being Chris Webber and being physical was very fun. I think I had a triple-double as Weber alone in blocks, assists, rebounds, and I think I barely got the points. So I can't remember who my partner was, but we dominated. And so Sahadev, if you're out there, hey, buddy.
Wow. Okay. All right, now back to the Twins. Speaking of getting dominated, I know it's cold up there in old Minnesota. You talked about Carlos Correa, but nobody's hitting on this team. Correa is going to be better. Buxton has got to be better, but you just look at it, it's like Wallner's doing okay, but the rest of the team, Castro struggling, Larnach struggling, all of them are struggling. Is it the weather, or is it something else that we're not looking at here?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I was looking at it yesterday, and the OPS pluses were I think Castro was above 100. I think Wallner was above 100. Everybody else, Carlos Correa was -7 going into yesterday. He had a 318 OPS. He's had a little weird season because there's been a lot of hard contact that found gloves early on. His exit velocity that first 6 games was up. He started to dial in far more, and you could see it Sunday. I think he had 2 walks and a single, and then his at bat against Ursig late in the game on Monday was fantastic. He struck out, but it was a 12-pitch at bat, and he was just missing. And so last night, he faces Reagans and doubles to right center in the first at bat, and that's the only guy on the team that even came close to touching Reagans. And he had another double later, but then of course the double play ball in the key situation happened, and it just feels like that's what's happened with the Twins so far. Is you'll get individual moments, but nobody is stringing hits together. And the offense is just, they've had 2 really big innings, but overall the group hasn't been very good. Missing Lewis hurts. Brooks Lee is on the mend, and they hope he can come up and hit. And last year he didn't, except for his first 2 weeks. They really need things to go well. Harrison Bader's leads the team in home runs and RBIs, and he's been batting 9th most of the time, or 8th in the lineup. So it just hasn't gone the way they want to. They really worked on this to avoid it in spring training. They put in a lot of different new tactics. Matt Borg-Schulte is their new hitting coach. The first 2 rounds of batting practice this year were focused, or all season, and it's mandatory batting practice on the field for everybody. But the first 2 rounds are focused on opposite way. Then it's line drives for the 3rd round, and then it's kind of choose your own adventure in rounds 4 and 5. And so they really have tried to do something to limit the fact where when they don't homer, they can find ways to score. And so far that hasn't really matriculated. But, for you guys that did Florida spring training, that it's really hard to get a ton of at-bats there. Like when you're in Fort Myers, the nearest team is the Red Sox 10 minutes away, but then the next one is 50 minutes away. And, Arizona, you have like 5 teams within 50 minutes. So to get 50 plate appearances out of veterans is a really hard thing to do. The Twins had 9 guys out of their 13 with 50 plate appearances. Everybody played. Carlos Correa is on the road, an hour north. Veterans don't typically do that, but Rocco really wanted them to be ready for the season and turn it around. And, last year they were 7-13 over their first 20. They wanted to avoid that, and they were hoping the offense could do that. They got all their work in. It just hasn't happened so far.
You said mandatory BP. Is this like a revelation? Is this like a rule on a team that didn't have rules? Or, you brought it up, so I have to ask, was it not mandatory before?
It wasn't. So look, they talked a lot about how when COVID hit, a lot of it was individual instruction. Guys were basically, you were limited in 21 to working with a coach at a time. And so a lot of guys got used to hitting indoors, and they wouldn't necessarily, Correa loves hitting indoors. Most of his work would be in the cage. And I think what they wanted to do was get the team together more and observing and talking, hitting, and more like a structured thing. So yeah, I think, in the past, you look at the Twins, they've had a lot of veteran-laden teams. Nelson Cruz was the guy from 19 to 21, and it was a veteran established team around them. Last year, they brought up a lot of younger guys, and I think they wanted the older guys working more focused with the younger guys just to keep things together. And that part's been interesting because, it's early in the year, and no team is going to get too demoralized over a rough start, but there's been a ton of conversation in games where hitting has not been there, and you see guys, taking notes and talking to each other, and it's spirited conversation. They're really into it. So I think in that regard, they were looking to kind of keep the group together a little more, and I think that's actually worked pretty well. It's just the results haven't been there. But yeah, absolutely, they changed everything to mandatory. The pitchers talked about how they didn't see the position players this year because usually they were spread out over so many fields working with different coaches or in the cages and doing a lot of individualized drills. And I think, that just was sort of something that started with COVID and the industry. Like Derek Falvey said, it's something that's happened a lot in the industry. They decided to take it the other way. Matt Borg-Schulte brought in some different ideas for what had worked in Baltimore and wanted to kind of prove it and see how it worked. And they're very satisfied with that aspect. Again, they just didn't expect to be 3-8 at this point.
Because of the lack of moves, this is essentially the same roster from August 10th last year. August 10th, this team was on its way to the playoffs. They were going to battle with the Royals to figure out who's going to win the Central. What's changed? And I know sometimes players don't just fade out or age out in, the last month of a season and then the beginning of another season, but something has changed, or did you see it coming before August 10th?
No, Joe Ryan got hurt on August 8th last year, and on August 17th, they were 70-53. So Correa's down at that point already with the plantar fasciitis. He's actually looked great physically. You can tell that that's not bothering him right now. Buxton went down with a hip injury and missed 28 games. So they were already up against it with pitching when Joe Ryan went down. Like, this was a team that went in extremely thin in their starting pitching last year, Anthony DeSclafani was part of the plan. He got hurt in spring training, never threw a pitch for them. They were counting on Chris Paddock to throw like 100 innings last year, coming off of 18 in his first year back from Tommy John, his second Tommy John. He was done by end of June. And then when Joe Ryan goes down, basically it's Pablo Lopez, Bailey Ober, and 3 rookies who all hit their innings limits, early September. And they were basically hoping to get 5 innings out of David Festa, Simeon Wood-Richardson, and Zebby Matthews, who had started last year in A-ball. So they knew what they were up against, and injuries they sacked that team. I mean, it was obvious. Buxton and Correa got back for the last 2 weeks. It was just too late. A lot of their young guys were in slump and couldn't get out of it. Royce Lewis, the last 200 plate appearances, I think, had an under 500 OPS. He still ended up with like a 750 OPS for the season, but he had been so incredible in June and July that I don't know. It's strange. You can see the makings of a decent team. Ty France had a great spring and has hit the ball hard early. He's providing some steadiness, but it has not quite worked. And I don't expect Correa to be a 318 OPS player. His worst April was like 636. There's a lot of area for him to go upward. There's a lot for Buxton to go back up. I don't, this team is accustomed to rough starts, being 7-13 last year. In their 11th game last year, they fell to 4-7 in that game. Correa's got an oblique injury and went on the IL. They were already down Royce Lewis. And then they rallied and they had the 12-game winning streak and figured it out and were 70-53. So I think they can bounce back. The starting pitching just hasn't been what they'd hoped so far. Joe Ryan, you can tell that they are trying to ease him in after last year's injury. Bailey Ober got sick before his first start, had something like flu-like symptoms and lost 8 pounds and got rocked in St. Louis. And he's gained 6 of those 8 pounds back, but he, only went 4 his last time out. And the rotation and the bullpen are supposed to be a huge part of this. So far, it has not been. I don't expect that to hold. Even if, Chris Paddock has struggled, even if they have to go to one of Festa or Zebby Matthews, if that's the case eventually, I think they have a lot more pitching depth that they should be able to rely on and get them back on track. The fact that they are sitting here with 4 2/3 average innings from their starting rotation right now is kind of stunning, because it was clearly part of the plan to keep them afloat early when the offense, was taking its time to get on track.
Dan, quick one for you here, because then I have another one on a topic that I think's juicier. But Susie has a question in the chat. Said, can you ask why Rocco brought in Duran to face the bottom of the order and then Jax to face the heart of the order in the 9th? I mean, it looks like this year and going into, looking at last year as well, that they look at Jax just as highly regarded as Duran, and they pick a lane in the lineup. So that's the answer, right?
It is. And it's not anything that they've always done this. They always have been matchup based. And I'm sure the relievers love that, because there's no guy that gets 30 saves, right? And saves get you paid. But Griffin Jax, they think very highly of him. I think that last year Duran struggled, and Duran has been throwing the ball well this year, but I think last year Duran, Jax at times surpassed him. He was 2.03 ERA, 71 innings, 95 strikeouts. He was the guy. His slider gets in on lefties. He's dangerous. The damage that's been done on him so far this year had been on fastballs. So, and it was, Sunday was 2 pitches he gave up, the single and then the 2-run homer to Alvarez, who they had dominated with fastballs up in the zone all series, and then Alvarez turned on that one. But that's typical. And Duran, if he throws the way he did Sunday, we'll see a lot more 9th innings. In fact, last night they reversed the rules. But it was Jax getting the middle of the lineup and the hardest part of the lineup. They have a lot of trust in him, and they'll continue to have trust in him. So that's not atypical. They did it with Taylor Rogers. They've done it, with everybody over the last couple of years, and it's all matchup based.
So let's finish with this, Dan. We can, and I'm talking we as in Twins fans really, can complain about what happened last year, the 12-27 collapse. I mean, brutal, right? And then years of staleness, of nothingness from the front office, blaming ownership, and they can't get the team sold. Yeah, okay, we got all that. Let's go one layer down, front office. If you're given a mandate on budget, why do you think they haven't gotten a little more creative with at least trying to mix and match. Like if it's me and I'm running a team, and I know I'm not, I'm looking at the collapse last year and saying, got it. This is our hard budget. We can't go off of this. It is what it is right now. I'm going to try and do some things to switch it up. I'm going to do a trade that either really will work or not. Do you think that front offices in a state like this are scared of losing on a trade? Because putting the same exact team out there after that collapse, to me, was just not a good message. And I feel like this happens sometimes in baseball, and it almost never produces a better result. Like one of the worst collapses in the 21st century, what are they going to do about it? Roll out the same roster. So did you ever get any answers as to why they didn't do anything, even to keep the payroll in the same range?
I think they probably didn't get the value that they were looking for. They're known as a tough team to trade with, and I've heard that plenty. So I don't know that they got the value. I'm sure they would have entertained trading Yohan Duran to somebody if they were in the market for a good reliever. They have a bunch of year 3 to 6 guys that are affordable and talented. So they stuck with that group and they tried to switch it up by doing the mandatory stuff. And they really focused on the pitcher or the position player side with that. And, they brought in Harrison Bader. They brought in Ty France. They made some moves on the edge. They brought in Danny Coulomb to fill the left-handed reliever role. And they added about $14 million in payroll, but they knew they were largely bringing back the same team. And I agree. It's hard to bring back the same band when they are 12-27. But I think, they have that stretch fresh in their minds. And fans, because it's the same team, just assume that this is a carryover from last year and it's not a new team. But what they looked at were the injuries. And I don't know that you're going to get value for Royce Lewis. You probably might have been trading him at a low point last year because of the way he struggled at the end and the fact that he's missed games. So in some ways, you look at how the money is there. Carlos Correa takes up a big chunk. He and Byron Buxton are accounting for $50 million of a payroll that's like 141. And so there's a little bit of a limited wiggle room. But like if you trade Correa, right? And I know that New York Post wrote about this a few times, like that the Yankees should trade for Correa. That's interesting. And yet if the Twins, they would have to have absorbed Yankee contracts to make that work, right? You would have to take some bad Yankee contracts on.
Why?
How are you get the value of Carlos Correa, who could be a 6-WAR player if he's healthy? Like look at last year. He was all-star, 315 at the break, 14 homers, 50 RBIs. He was on pace for a 6-WAR season. If you trade his $36 million and get it off the books, you're not getting the 6-WAR back. You're getting, a bad contract and an older player, and then you have $20 million to make up the rest of that. They're in a weird spot because of those big contracts, and they're never quite going to get the value, I think. So they were probably a little bit hamstrung. And again, they're notoriously difficult to trade with. So I'm not shocked that they said we were injured and this is what we're going to run back. We're going to just change things up and try to get better and keep the group together a little bit more. Because I think there were some fractures. When we were here last time in Kansas City in September, Rocco called out the clubhouse for being unprofessional. And I think they really tried to light a fire under their young guys in the offseason. It's unfortunate Royce Lewis is out with another leg injury to start the season. He's probably not back for another 3 to 4 weeks. Brooks Lee's injury, they expected him to be, backup second base, backup shortstop, even a lot of time at second base. And he's getting closer, but he's 2 games in on his rehab. So it's always going to be injuries with this team and can they get through them? And so far, those have been, those have hurt them a little bit because the infield looks a little bit thin aside from Carlos Correa and Ty France right now. You've seen younger guys struggle, and they expected Lewis and Lee to be part of that group so far, and it hasn't. They haven't been here.
Well, I just want to know this: when they signed Carlos Correa, what was the big thing they said? We're going to go around you, right? But they haven't done that. So is there anything to like Carlos being like, maybe I'm not that excited about being here anymore? Because wasn't that a thing? Like, wasn't that a big thing when they signed Carlos? Hey, we're going to surround you with players. And in the last couple of years, they haven't done that.
Their payroll in 2023 was their highest ever, $157 million, and they were looking to keep going that direction. Fans didn't respond to that team. They didn't draw 2 million fans. They won the division, and teams typically get bumps after they win the division by 300,000 fans. They drew fewer fans last year. Now fans were pretty angry about the $30 million payroll cut. And I think that you turned your fans off. Honestly, right now, the first 3 games, they drew 9,000 fewer fans than they did in the first 3 last year. Well, last year, their Sunday game got rained out, and they had a Monday against the Dodgers with 15,000. On Sunday this year, they drew 14,000 fans. That's just not great. Fans are kind of tuning this team out and waiting for a sale. And I think that that's what's going to be the key. I think Correa probably.
Wait, hold on. Was that gone away? But has that gone away, Dan, the sale? Because we haven't heard anything about it.
It's slow. It's a slow cooking. I think there is still interest, but this process, they haven't taken them off the market. And, it's definitely going slower than fans wanted. Fans wanted a new owner in by opening day. It looked like that was going to be the case with Justin Ishbia. Then he decided to increase his minority stake in the White Sox. And, they didn't start from zero, but they had to basically get everything aligned again. And that was, early February that we're talking about. So there's a lot of fan resentment. It's not going well at the gate. And the fact that they didn't, when they finally spent 2 years ago, they didn't get fans out there. I mean, that was not a good sign when you increase your payroll that significantly and you bring Correa back on the biggest contract in club history.
Yeah, they blew it. They got a free vacation and spent it on nothing. Dan, thank you for joining us. Appreciate the time. Always great insight, and we'll catch you again soon, okay?
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Follow Dan on Twitter. Check out his articles, including topics on the sale of the team. Not happening yet. All right, BetMGM locks. I lost yesterday. Man, Crochet and the Red Sox falling to this Edgar character on the Blue Jays, making a name for himself.
Easton.
That's
Edgar.
Exactly. Easton. Edgar. Sonny Gray didn't hit his strikeout prop for Kratz. Good for Cam. He pulled a Pierzynski.
He pulled one of me. That's what you do, kids.
Plus 425 to get himself up 125 on the Mets winning.
Sweat, too. Kind of no sweat, too.
Yeah, Clay hitting his strikeouts, and Pete got his RBI for him. So good for Cam. Everybody's
Scott has
up.
Dinner for 2.
Giggity.
Giggity. I'm up giggity. Everybody's up. except for Kratz. Erik, you do yours. AJ and I will do ours in the next break.
I'm way down, but I don't see how the Dodgers get swept. So I took the money line for the Dodgers. I see them winning. And I also have the over in the Grant Holmes Taiwan Walker matchup down in Atlanta. So the over, I think I bought it at 8.5. So need some runs. It's plus 185. Putting 100 down. Need to get back in the green slowly but surely.
Okay.
All right.
I'll actually do mine because AJ's apparently is super long, so we'll give him the next one. So, but mine plays off what Kratz said. I'll just go Dodgers. I'm just picking that game. Run line, though. 2 runs or more, please. It's a good team.
Who's it, Kanak against who?
Landon Kanak against Jake Irvin. Jake Irvin's pretty good. I mean, not yet so far this year. I think he's got a 5-something ERA. But we just started. But Dodgers are a better team. I'll take them on a run line to win on getaway day. And Knack's good, too. Like, Robleski didn't pitch well yesterday. Knack's better stuff. Knack's pretty good. Mm-hmm. He could be a starter in a normal rotation that doesn't have 90 starters, although they're going to kind of need him now.
True, they're starting
now. I know, he is starting. So, anyway, we'll hit that. Coming up next, we'll talk a little bit about that game. Then we'll get AJ's pick in a moment as well. One more reminder, FT, fam, playback game, watch party, watch along. Daniel Murphy calling the game with us, along with Alana Rizzo, Clint Pasillas. Brittany Giroli is going to join us. So you get Nats perspective, you get Dodgers perspective. Dodgers have lost 3 in a row. I thought they were going to go undefeated.
Don't tell Lana that. She might not make the show.
That's why this is fun, though. I mean, I thought this would happen. We're a couple weeks into the season, and the Dodgers are trying to avoid getting swept by the Nationals. That's baseball.
You're right.
And a lot of people are rooting against the Dodgers.
Does this mean you're staying longer at my house?
I am staying longer at the studio. Yeah.
He said, ugh.
I just got it. I've been here in months.
It's been great.
I wore my Orlando shirt.
I'm starting to think that maybe you should just stay in New York.
No, I need those Florida taxes, baby.
No, you can't. You can't be that guy. Nope. Go back. Take your New York taxes with you.
The Dodgers will lose sometimes. Florida state income tax does not lose. It's undefeated.
You keep moving down here, it will. I'm gonna start checking your days to see if you're here.
I'm good.
Enough.
I'm keeping track.
I'm
Don't worry.
Make sure that you're good.
Don't you worry.
By the way, I know we're talking other stuff, but in playback, Dodgers Nats number 1 on my power rankings. But there's a play, Kratz. I want you to. No, I'm not kidding. Wait till we do power rankings next month.
You're not invited.
Perfect. Even better. That's even better. But there's a play in the Pirates St. Louis game. If you didn't see it, it was pretty awesome. There was a pop up with runners on base, and the first baseman truck Joey Bart, the catcher. The ball drops, and the guy from third was coming to score, and Hayes was standing right there. He picks it up and tags him before he scored. It was it was a nasty collision, and they both got up fine. Bart and Rodriguez, I think.
Andy Rodriguez took a little time to get up.
But Hayes was standing right there. Brian Hayes was like, "Oh, you're out." The umpire was like, "Oh, yeah, you're out." It was pretty heads up play by him to be standing there in the right place. The ball just happened in 0-0 going to the 10th. But
Hayes has instincts. He's a really good defender.
It just shows you there's always somewhere you can be.
Yep, exactly.
And you can help your team out.
That's a good breakdown. All right, we got to step aside. We'll be right back for Slap, and we'll honor a couple people that have fallen, unfortunately. Awful news yesterday.
FT fan, what's up? Parlay pal. Today I'm just picking pal. And parlays didn't pay off to me well, so I might change my name. But anyway, I got a pick'em for you today. Yesterday, lock. Today, another lock, baby. Let's go. So pick today. You already know. Logan Allen pitching against the Chicago White Sox from the South Side. Got to go with the Guardians, baby. It's a lock too. We're gonna put 200 on it. Cash it in. Peace.
You know how he's going to lose? Well, 1, he's picking against the White Sox. 2, that tired jacket he had on. Like, I got a kid that goes to Mississippi State, and I know he's a Mississippi State legend, but, like, what even brand was that jacket? Like, that wasn't Homage. That's for sure.
No.
I don't know what that was, but I don't know what that thing was. That wasn't Starter. That wasn't Nike. That wasn't Adidas. That was like
bootleg.
I don't even know what you call it. Yeah, it was seriously like Pat found that somewhere in Mississippi that was like on the side of the streets.
Arts and Crafts, where they give you the blank.
Yes, I think he made it
color
himself.
On it. What's your pick?
Oh, my lock? My lock is not long, by the way. I don't really get it. Listen, I'm going over 3.5 punch-outs for Luis Castillo today.
Luis
F. Castillo,
Castillo.
as in F them Astros. And I'm going over 10 in the Padres and the West Sacramento Athletics. I said it. Why? Because every game there is like 12-10.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been there've been 6 games or something, 5 games in. There's been like 70 runs scored or some crazy number. I mean, it is a bandbox, and I just think the ball's going to keep on flying.
I think visiting teams are going there like, I'm going to get mine.
Oh, yeah. It's like going to Coors Field. They're like, oh, baby. Mm-hmm. And the A's are starting to figure it out a little bit, too.
And it's becoming a home game for teams like
the Padres. The Cubs.
I mean, they're having massive attendance problems already, which is
shocker.
We could talk about that for days, but we're not going to. Here's a yes or no runs first inning boost token for you. If you go to the BetMGM Sportsbook app, you can activate that token and score a bigger payout if your bet wins. Yerfy, nerfy action on BetMGM. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. awful situation in the DR yesterday. A roof collapse at a nightclub. Octavia Hotel. Nelson Cruz's sister, Tony Blanco, among others, that passed. And I know you obviously played with Octavio, and he was a fun guy.
Oh man, listen, awful news. Let me just say, awful, absolutely awful, heartbreaking news about people that passed away. I'm not even talking about the baseball family. I'm talking about just people in general. For something like this to happen is just awful. Prayers up for the Dominican and all the people there and all the people that have lost loved ones and are still looking for loved ones. But we are a baseball show, and Blanco and Nelson Cruz's sister apparently was there, and Pedro Martinez had some people that he knows there, and then obviously Octavio. But I first saw Octavio in like 1997, 1998 when he was with the Mets, and I remember he pitched against us in Binghamton on opening day, and I think we beat him, and he was like, "I'm the Pedro Martinez of the Eastern League." And we all kind of laughed, and he always had this smile on his face. And then he turned out to be not so bad. Then I got to play with him for a couple years in Chicago, and this dude was one of the funniest, happiest dudes of all. He'd blow a 3-run lead. He'd laugh about it. He'd be like, it's okay, guys. We get it tomorrow. He'd always take the late bus. He'd walk in the clubhouse. First thing he'd say is, "Bus is here! The bus is here!" And yell, and we're already like 3 hours into our prep, and he walks in. He walked all duck footed, and he'd come walking in like his Louis Vuitton perfect outfit. He'd be like, "Bus is here!" And everyone else is like, "Oh my gosh!" But I mean, that was just the way he did it. And I know Kratz, you got to play with him too. He was just an awesome guy, man, and a great teammate. Just fun to be around. Always smiling, always laughing. No matter how crazy he was always laughing.
He had a good perspective on life and baseball. That's not that big of a deal. He always took a bucket of balls to warm up before games. He said, "Bobby, I can't make the team playing catch. Worst catch player I ever seen."
True.